I'm delighted tonight. We have Dr. Beth Frates with us. She is a trained physiatrist and a health and wellness coach with expertise in lifestyle medicine. She has received several teaching accolades from Harvard Extension School and Harvard Medical School, where she is an associate professor. Dr. Frates developed and taught a bachelor's and master's level lifestyle medicine curriculum at our Harvard Extension School. She recently received the Petra Shattuck Excellence in Teaching Award. Dr. Frates is one of the first women to be recognized as a fellow of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and she is a pioneer in lifestyle medicine. She was voted president of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine in August 2020 and served as president until November of 2024. Dr. Frates has authored and co-authored numerous books in the field of lifestyle medicine. Dr. Frates has created and implemented a 12-step wellness program, which we're going to talk about tonight, called Paving the Path to Wellness for patients and providers. Most recently, she co-authored the book Paving the Path to Wellness Workbook, a guide to thriving with a healthy body, peaceful mind, and joyful heart. In addition, Dr. Frates has her own lifestyle medicine consulting, coaching practice where she sees patients one-on-one and in groups. Dr. Frates, welcome. We're just so delighted to have you on Spotlight Health tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Hollie. It is a real honor and delight to be here with you all.
Great. You know, I mentioned the phrase lifestyle medicine a lot in the introduction. For those that maybe not so familiar with that term, lifestyle medicine, what is lifestyle medicine?
Yes, lifestyle medicine is a medical specialty, and
Yeah.
you get board certified in lifestyle medicine if you are an MD or DO. And you can also get board certified if you are a healthcare professional that holds a master's degree. What do we do if we're board certified in lifestyle medicine? We use the pillars. There are 6 of them: whole food, plant predominant eating pattern, routine physical activity, stress resilience, sound sleep, positive social connections, and avoidance of risky substances as our primary modalities to prevent, treat, and often even put into remission chronic conditions such as our number one killer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, hypertension, and many other chronic conditions. And this is useful for physical health, mental health, emotional health. This is a whole person approach to health.
Excellent, excellent definition. So, Dr. Frates, tell us about how Beth Frates became interested in lifestyle medicine.
Like many healthcare professionals, physicians, and probably many people in this room, we are inspired by a particular patient or person and their story and their journey. And that is the case in my life. There is a particular patient who has given me full rights to share his entire story in hopes to inspire others and motivate others for change. And this particular patient continues to be my motivator to this day. I'll share with you his story. When he was 52 years old, some of you may have reached that age or maybe not yet, but think of a 52-year-old New York City businessman who was overweight, overworked, and overstressed, who dined almost exclusively on fast foods. Pretzels at the corner on New York streets, the hot dogs, the Oreo cookies double stuff that he would put in his drawers at work, hard candies he would store. And unfortunately for this gentleman, the stress was so high, it also impacted his sleep. So sleep was minimal. He would try to sleep around midnight, wake up around 2, go downstairs, get some ice cream or other salty sweet treats that he could find in the cabinetry, enjoy those, write his to-do list, go back to bed, to wake up just a couple hours later and write more things to do and eat more hyper palatable, ultra processed foods that he could find in the house. I've gone over several of these pillars so far. You've probably counted: nutrition and stress and sleep. In terms of social connections, he was married and had 2 teenage children at this time, but he devoted himself to his work. So the majority of his time was spent at work with his clients. He was in finance. His dad had started a business in New York City, 101 Park Avenue, and this gentleman and his brothers took it over, and there was a lot of pressure to continue the business and to make the clients happy. So his social connections were really around work. Lastly, or second to last, avoidance of risky substances. This gentleman did not smoke ever and did not drink. So he had one pillar down. I am missing one pillar. I'm wondering if everyone in the audience is thinking about which one that is. It is physical activity. So despite the fact that this gentleman was an outstanding athlete, very athletic person, soccer, basketball, baseball, third base, skilled at his hitting and fielding when he was in high school and played some in college for fun. At this time, 52, midlife, he's really doing nothing. He's not doing anything. He's sitting a lot. He's got sedentary behavior. There's no planned routine physical activity, regular physical activity in his life. I would be remiss if I didn't say, though, that he did do something. He did do something. And that something that he did, most people guess, is golf, because he's a New York City businessman. But no, and golf would have been quite good. He would have done a lot of walking and maybe even fun socializing. But no, it wasn't golf. There's a lot of guesses that people come up with that you may be thinking in your own head. And no one really thinks of this one. It's one thing that he does, and you don't know which day he'll do it, but you know the exact time that he'll participate in this physical activity. Exact. And when I tell you the time, you might guess the activity. The time is 11:07 p.m. That is the exact time that he would engage in this activity. So yes, 11:07 in the night. So what was it? It was sprints, mad dashes from 101 Park Avenue to Grand Central Station to catch the last train home to Scarsdale, New York, where he lived. And if he didn't catch that train, he knew he was walking right back to 101 Park Avenue, going up to his office, pulling out the cot, the uncomfortable cot, and sleeping there, which he did do when he missed the train. There were no snacks and ice cream and special treats for him there, and it was also quite uncomfortable. However, that was a true option for him. So the running and sprinting mad dash was real. And one of these mad dashes, he experienced a little pressure. No pain, no gain for this gentleman. Forged forward, made the train. By the end of the train, I think most of you know how he was feeling and what he was feeling. I'll just confirm it for you. He felt as if there was an elephant resting on his chest, numbness and tingling down his left arm into his hand, diaphoretic, short of breath. His wife, who was a school teacher, no experience in medicine, dutifully picked him up as usual when he would do this last train home, took one look at him and drove him immediately to the local emergency room, where he completed his massive myocardial infarction and subsequent right middle cerebral artery infarct, leaving him paralyzed on the left side. And this all happened at the age of 52.
Hmm.
So this gentleman, I'm very happy to tell you, found Pritikin rehab centers. So he's a savvy New York man, and this happened in 1986. And he found his way to Pritikin Cardiac Rehab, where he learned about eating healthy. His wife came with him. They learned about the importance of exercise. He ramped up so that he could exercise routinely 5 days a week, 1/2 hour. He chose the exercise bike as his method of movement. He could listen to finance shows and he could do many things while he was on his bike, mostly watch finance shows on TV or listen to them on the radio. And he learned about stress reduction and used walking a lot for stress reduction. On top of this, he changed his life, his lifestyle, his work. So he basically retired, but did some consulting. So he would go into the city maybe at 10 a.m. He'd be back on the train by 2, 3. So he was home for dinner. Fortunately, he added this nutrition, you heard, the exercise, you heard, the stress resiliency, you heard. And he also was sleeping a lot better through the night, comfortably, happily. So, what about his social connections? Well, those grew. And for the first time, his children saw him come up from behind his wife and give her a kiss on the cheek. And the children were 18 and 20 at the time. And his relationship with his children and then his grandchildren, his family blossomed, and his friends. And I share this story, and I know the story so well, because that gentleman who made it through that and lived his best 27 years of his life after that event was my dad. So it was at 18 years old that I watched this strong man, this powerful man in my world of 18, daughter, this New York City businessman, crumble and then build himself back up. And he is the inspiration. At the time, it was 1986, and I was at Harvard as a college student. I was a freshman. I was going to major in economics. I was an economics major. I was getting my economics books. In fact, at the Coop, if anyone knows Harvard Square, I was at the Coop, and this is in 1986 when there were no cell phones, and my phone in my dorm wasn't working. So I got my economics book and was so excited. I called home from the payphone outside the Coop. And that is when I called home and my mom said, "We've been trying to reach you. Where are you?" I said, "Oh, well, what do you mean? I'm in college and my phone doesn't work in my dorm room." And then she said, "Your father loves you very, very much." So I knew something was happening. And then I took myself to New York with my brother, and we saw my dad with what I considered tubes everywhere. Well, now I know it's nasal prongs and IVs, but it was quite the scene for an 18-year-old that wasn't exposed to medicine at all, except the pediatrician's office with dolls and cars and fun things that you went to see and do. But that there was no lifestyle medicine at that time. But I realized that economics was not for me, and I was not going to take over dad's business, even though that was my path. I'm the youngest of all cousins on that side of the family, and I was always math oriented and I hardworking. And so they always said, "Little bit." Well, that was my nickname they gave me. Little bit'll take it over. Little bit'll do it. Little bit's going to be the new CEO. And I was thinking, sure, I'm going to be this New York City businesswoman, and I'm going to do just like my dad. And then I realized, no, I am going to figure this out. Why did this happen to my dad? And how can we prevent this from happening again? That was my whole focus. So I changed to biology and psychology. My thesis was about mental stress and its impact on the heart, because the nutrition, the exercise, I very important, and the stress. He was so stressed. And that type A behavior. You may remember in the 80s, we were talking a lot about that and the hostility factor. I ended up doing some research in a year between college and medical school, looking at the hostility factor and how that impacted cardiac patients. Then when I went to Stanford, I did research at the cardiovascular research lab during medical school, looking at the impact of different diets on endothelial cells, and was convinced that when you have a diet that is full of walnuts to increase your nitric oxide content versus a saturated fat diet, sure enough, that whole food, that nitric oxide rich, walnut rich diet is much healthier for your endothelial cells than that saturated fat diet. And then from there, I went to MGH, where I was a prelim year intern at MGH. And then I went to Spalding. As you said, I trained in physical medicine rehab. So I did my physical medicine rehab residency at Spalding in the Harvard department. I haven't left since, but it wasn't until 2006 that lifestyle medicine came into my life, because I wrote a book, How to Prevent a Second Stroke. And one of my attendings from Spalding, I stayed at Spalding, and I was at a department meeting, and Eddie Phillips, one of my attendings, came up to me. He said, "Oh, I saw your book. You're doing lifestyle medicine." He said this to me in 2006. I said, "Wow, what's that? It sounds like something I would do, but I don't know what that is." He said, "It's really new. We've got to get it going. Come join me. Let's start this Institute of Lifestyle Medicine here at Harvard." I said, "Yes." So really, for the past 2 decades, it has been my sole focus in my career to build up this lifestyle medicine specialty, to work here at Harvard. Really, for a decade, I was just focused on what was going on here at Harvard and Harvard Medical School and Harvard Extension School and the CME programs here. And then I went to ACLM. I met Susan Benegas. David Katz was the president at the time. It was 2016. And I said, I have met so many kindred spirits that have been doing work in their areas, in their schools, in their institutions around the country and even the globe. And I got hooked. And then you told the rest of the story. I really decided that I wanted to focus in and help ACLM. So that was the next decade. Now I'm entering my third decade. I've got 2 decades down and one, and hopefully many, many more to go. But the next one is up in the air. One more year as immediate past president at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine. Then we'll see.
Yeah, that's a great story. And wow, your father was a great motivation for you. And you went from a economist to a to a physician, and a physician in lifestyle medicine. And the rest is history. It's a great history, by the way. Um, Slightly switching gears, this is the time of year. It's still January, just barely, but it's still January, and people love to make New Year's resolutions, and they're often surrounded, or centered in health, some aspect. They want to lose weight or exercise more or eat better, whatever that kind of thing. So, what New Year's resolutions did you make this year? And the tag on to that is, what do you think about New Year's resolutions?
Okay, Dr. Holly, we're getting personal. This is
Yeah.
personal. Okay. I'll be vulnerable.
There we go.
I'll go here with you, which is, so this year I decided I do try to work on something in the 12 dimensions of the Paving the Path to Wellness program, which is the 6 pillars plus, which perhaps we'll get into a little bit later. But I do try to pick something in these dimensions, these 12 different dimensions. And this year I went with, stress resiliency and physical activity combined in yoga. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, by the way. So workaholism and high stress, I know it's in there somewhere. So I like to keep that at bay. So what I said, and what my New Year's resolution is that I will participate in yoga at least twice a week throughout the entire year. Now, I'm usually very good here in New England. It's snowy and it's hard to get out. So yoga is often a very good go-to for me for January, for February. And then in March and April, I tend to drop it, and I do more running, and I love the running. But I am convinced this year that I want to continue with the yoga and in the summertime, we often go to a summer home in Nantucket, and I don't have a yoga studio there. So this New Year's resolution is not about just January for me. This is really fully about the full year and committing to this mind body practice of yoga all even through the summer, which I have yet to master, but this year I'm going to do it. And I play around, by the way, with these New Year's resolutions. People have to be honest with themselves. And so I know that mind body work is important for me. I also know that I don't like to waste money. So when I spend up front on the yoga class, so for example, in January, I took the pay one fee and you can go as many times as you want. And of course, then I calculated, right, how many times do I have to go to get my money's worth, for example, and I've already beat that. So I know that I have to do that also through the spring and definitely someplace in the summer. But you asked about New Year's resolutions in general. I think it is good to have a time of reflection, to look at yourself honestly, and to consider the 6 pillars or all 12 dimensions of the Paving the Path to Wellness program. Take a questionnaire. We have free questionnaires available on our nonprofit pavingwellness.org. There's one that's a full 12 dimension paving wheel and one that's a validated 6 pillar lifestyle medicine survey. Take that and see where you are, and then follow your heart and decide, where do I want to work? Where do I want to put work into this year? And it's not tomorrow and just this month. It's thinking about the year. So clearly you could do this. The beginning of any day is a new day, the beginning of every month, beginning of any week. But it's just traditional for us to think about this on January 1st. And I do follow that tradition myself. I think we should open this up, though, and make sure that people understand you could make your resolution today. You could do it February 1st. You could do it February 14th. It could be any day that you declare, I'm going to focus on this for the next, maybe if people are just starting out, for the next week, but maybe for people who have been working for a long time, for the next 6 months, or like I'm trying to do, for the next year. Think about where I want to be in a year. I do want to share something, which is, I think these goals, it's very important to connect these goals to your life's purpose. So I have an article in American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine from about a decade ago where I talk about the key to therapeutic change is negotiation and collaboration. Co-authored this with my colleague and friend John Bonnet, and in that I created a ladder. So on one side of the ladder, so to keep the ladder steady, stable, and give it form and frame, function, you have the 2 sides. So on one side, you need to think about your purpose and your priorities. On the other side, your vision and your values. So you have to get real with yourself before setting these New Year's resolutions or goals. And then the steps up towards your vision, right? Towards where you want to be in the year, or if it's a week for you, or if it's 6 months for you, however you're working. Then you set the SMART goals, but they must be connected, right, to your purpose as well as to your values. So for me, my life's purpose is to help people adopt and sustain healthy behaviors. So to do that, I know one of my values is to be authentic. I want to be what I want to see in the world. So if I want to see people that have a healthy body, peaceful mind, and joyful heart, I need to try to be that. And for me, focusing in on that stress resiliency, that mind body practice is what I believe I need. And I know it's connected to my purpose and my vision, and then making those SMART goals up. I hope that helps.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah, because people they flippantly throw out New Year resolutions, but they just a week later they're gone but you're saying put more thought into it. What's your purpose? Focus on that and then go with your goal setting from there. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So we've thrown around the term wellness a little bit. The World Health Organization, they define health or wellness in their constitution as, quotes, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So, what is Dr. Frates' definition of wellness?
I like that definition, and it is certainly what we try to do in lifestyle medicine. Exactly that, work on mental, physical, emotional, social well-being, health. So I've thought about this a lot. What is well-being? And I like to think about it in terms of the body, a healthy body, and what that takes. A peaceful mind, because if you have a healthy body and a mind racing s- with stress and to-dos and anxiety, it's hard to enjoy that healthy body. So you have a healthy body, peaceful mind, but you're not really enjoying life. Maybe you don't have purpose in life, but you've got a peaceful mind and a healthy body. I think we're missing something. So that joyful heart, that spiritual or soulful work that we need to do to really experience a joyful heart is important for my definition of well-being. Healthy body, peaceful mind, joyful heart. That's how I like to think about well-being or wellness.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So that leads directly into paving the path to wellness. You've taken those 6 pillars and expanded on them. I love what you've done here. And I'm going to ask you to pop up the slide so people can visualize the 4 components and then the 3 components of the 4, total of 12 components of paving the path to wellness, and talk about those and elaborate on the ones you want to elaborate on, but mention them all because they're all very important. And I'd like you to tell us about paving the path to wellness, that healthy body, peaceful mind, and joyful heart that you just talked about.
Okay, fabulous. Now, I did just teach the medical students here by Zoom, so I'm wondering what I'm sharing. Am I sharing the PowerPoint from them or the one you had asked for this Paving the Path to Wellness? What are you seeing, Dr. Holly?
I'm seeing the small wheel, but not the big
Okay,
wheel. Yeah.
good. Okay, got it.
It
So,
says rock solid steps to optimal health, but it's
okay,
small wheel. Yes.
perfect. Thank you, Dr. Holly. Okay, so yes, so this will help you understand and the listeners understand what I mean by the healthy body, peaceful mind, and joyful heart. So in 2006, I started working in this area of lifestyle medicine. In 2008, I became a health and wellness coach, one of the first physicians to actually become a health and wellness coach and learn about behavior change. And I was practicing one on one mostly with patients. And I noticed that the 6 pillars are very important. Absolutely. But I did notice that the attitude piece that I had learned in coaching and I had learned in psychology during my undergraduate years, this idea of how we approach life, how we approach our goals, how we approach our health, our well-being. This attitude piece was critical. And even how people identified themselves. Oh, I was an athlete. Are you an athlete now? Well, not right now, but I'd like to be an athlete. Well, so I'm gonna be an athlete. How we identified ourselves was so important. The other thing I realized with people is that we really need to encourage them to investigate, to do experiments on themselves, to make the process fun. Because remember, I started this at 18, that's 40 years ago. And in 2012, I had been on this journey myself, and I realized I keep at this because I keep creating new experiments and investigations for myself. So I realized that I needed to add some things to my programming that I had been using for probably 4 or 5 years. So it was in 2012 that I put this together. Before I go to that slide, I want to explain that there's a mnemonic to this, paving the path to wellness, right? So we have physical activity, that's the P, attitude, that's the A, variety, investigations, nutritions, and goal. So paving. That's how I remember these 12 different dimensions. Then we have steps: stress resiliency, timeouts, energy, purpose, sleep, and social support. As I was working with these, I thought carefully about, well, how does this fit into the model of well-being? And I broke it into 4 quadrants with 3 components. So healthy body. You see the 3 pillars of lifestyle medicine clearly here: physical activity, nutrition, sleep. And then another pillar, stress resiliency, is part of the peaceful mind. Here's that attitude. And then time outs, actually taking time out, taking vacation, taking time outs from sitting, taking time outs when you're in a challenging situation, perhaps even in a disagreement at work or at home. Instead of forging forward with this, taking a time out and thinking, let's approach this at a different time. Then the joyful heart, the soulful spiritual work, thinking about your sense of purpose, really cultivating high quality connections, Jane Dutton's work. And then energy management, not just time management, but your own energy management. How much energy do you have in the day? When are you most energized? When do you do the tough work, the tough mental work, the tough physical work in the day? When you have the most energy, that would be the best time to put it in. And to be honest about your energy levels and to honor your own energy levels. Then the last one, the quadrant here, is the action steps. I mentioned investigations. It's really important to keep trying new things. The brain loves novelty. Gives us a little dopamine hit, a little reward, especially we get a dopamine hit when we reach our goals. So creating Goldilocks goals, I like to call them, or SMART goals: specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, time-sensitive. Goals will help us to stay motivated and engaged. And then having variety. Now, this is not just variety on your plate, which is important and essential. And we've heard about that. Most people understand, have a rainbow of colors on your plate. It's very important. Get the different phytonutrients, as many plants as we can get on that plate. It's also, though, a variety in physical activity. A recent article just came out in The Lancet describing how important physical activity is, and incorporating a variety of physical activities is even the best way to go. So it's not just one best exercise. They're now saying having a variety of activities. Now, we know those that are exercise specialists here in our audience and lifestyle medicine certified physicians know there's the aerobic activity, there's the strength training. We also want to do balance training. We want to do flexibility training. Already we see variety there. We don't often think about it as a variety of friends. It's great to have friends from different backgrounds, friends that have different professions than you do, friends that are different ages, friends that are from different countries, from different states. Here in the US, we have different cultures, right? The Southern culture versus the New England culture. And learning from different people is really critical. Having variety in your stress resiliency techniques, not just the one go-to. I like mindfulness-based stress reduction. I enjoy it very much. I told you I'm focusing in on yoga. I also do deep breathing. I want to learn more about different stress resiliency techniques and have a number of techniques in my quote unquote toolbox for my well-being. So this is the paving the path to wellness wheel, split up in its quadrants of healthy body, peaceful mind, joyful heart, and then the movement, like the action steps that we need to be taking to remain motivated for years and years. Again, it's a 40-year journey I'm still on and still excited and engaged in this journey.
Yeah, I love this wheel. Those components are very important. In particular, the action, because you can read about that. Yeah, I want to be physical active and eat better, and yeah, I need to sleep, and yeah, stress. I need. But what are the action points? I like that a lot. And just touch about investigation. What are the guidelines? Because most people investigate by Googling. Google this, Google that, but tell us about investigation, because that's important. Where do you get your information? Yeah.
Yes, I love that question. And so investigation can take on I would say a couple of meanings. So one is investigate the science. So find the science, especially in 2026. We do want to follow the science.
Yes.
So having sources such as your website, for example, as a source on nutrition. I love PubMed. If you know me, you know that I can go down the rabbit hole in PubMed really, really quickly. And I love it. I enjoy it. It's very joyful for me. So, PubMed and the actual articles, the research articles themselves are a great way to investigate topics. Looking at the literature. So, I do enjoy the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine and the articles that are in there. So, for me, looking at the latest editions of that journal, I find a great way to learn new information and stay up to date. So for investigations, there's that arena. Find reliable sources, the science, so the articles themselves, and then websites like yours. I would also say at Harvard, there's Walter Willett, who
Yep.
has
Yep.
been a renowned source of nutrition information and scientists here at Harvard for years. He was the chair of the department at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health for Nutrition. Now, Frank Hugh is the chair. They have Nutrition Source, which is another resource people can use. So how do you investigate? American College of Sports Medicine is a source for exercise, for example. ACE is another one for exercise. I think having resources in the variety of pillars is useful for lifestyle medicine specialists. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine
Yes.
has
Excellent.
a great website that can be a go-to for all the pillars as well. Then there's this idea of investigation, experimentation, what I call N of one, N equals one. So number of subjects is one, and that subject is you. And
Okay.
you, in fact, are also the experimenter. So I like to have my clients think about what experiment they're going to do this week. So, for example, right now I'm running a group of Paving the Path to Wellness group for physicians across the country. Actually, it's international as well. And so one of them wants to work on not eating after 7 p.m. So, okay, what experiment can you do? After 7 p.m. when you're hungry, what could you do instead? So she gave me a bunch of ideas, and I said, "Oh, do you want to hear some ideas that I have?" And then the group could share some ideas. So we threw out some ideas, and she decided to have herbal tea after 7, not caffeinated tea, but herbal tea after 7 p.m. when she was hungry. That was going to be her experiment. How will I feel? Will it help with hunger? Will it make me hungrier? Will I stay away from the cabinetry? Will I sleep well? How will it change how I eat the next day, how I feel the next morning? So people do their own experiments on themselves. Sometimes you want to write it down with a hypothesis. You can do that too and get scientific about it. Writing things down, what you notice is a good strategy. You know, what we measure, we manage. Peter Drucker, father of modern management, has said. And so when we're measuring our energy level, for example, this can be helpful. And we do this in experimentation, or what we call investigation, in the Paving the Path to Wellness program. Does that make sense?
Yeah, very much so. In fact, if I'm listening to this tonight, and many people are going to say, I want a healthy body, I want a peaceful mind, I want a joyful heart. What are they going to find? What are the opportunities and information resources when they go to paving the path to wellness? What are they going to find? What are the opportunities there?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. So I would say that this new book that just came out recently, Paving the Path to Wellness, you can see the wheel there, by the way. We put icons in it with my co-authors and my partners at Paving the Path to Wellness. You may see these names and say, yes, I know these wonderful human beings, brilliant
Yes.
brilliant physicians and compassionate people, Dr. Michelle Tollison and Dr. Amy Commander. So there's our overall Paving the Path to Wellness workbook where you can actually consider handwrite answers to questions that make you think about each of those dimensions. You can take the paving questionnaire, which is in the workbook as well as on the website.
Yep.
Actually download it and print it, or just look at it and take it on the screen if you don't want to use the paper. And that's one thing that you could do. I will share that we also have another book that Dr. Amy Commander led us in for paving the path through breast cancer. And then Dr. Michelle Tollefson helped lead us with paving the path through menopause. We have a cookbook, one of our paving the path to wellness leaders. Jody wrote this cookbook based upon healthy body, peaceful mind, joyful heart. So there's different books that come from our work together as a team at Paving the Path Wellness. On the site itself, you can download a validated questionnaire, a survey, a lifestyle, medicine, health, behavior survey, which has been validated and looks at each of the 6 pillars individually so that you can then determine which pillar you're doing really well in and which pillar you may want to grow in, you may want to learn more about and focus in on. Also in this book, our manual, the new book, the 2nd edition, I've included what I call the Lifestyle Medicine Foundational Pyramid. So I like this concept a lot, this foundational pyramid a lot, because clients, groups, and then participants in talks when I give them, often the question is, where do I start? What should I do now? What should I do now? So there's an audience of 2,000 people. Somebody raising their hand, Dr. Frates, what should I do first? I don't know who that is. I don't know their background. I don't know what they have going. I don't know what they're working on. I don't know if they have a health condition. So what do I do first? That varies with every person. So if there's someone who is struggling with alcohol, for example, if they come to that and they realize that they are consuming alcohol to excess and it has become a substance use disorder, then one of the first things that we could recommend is that they work with an addiction specialist, that they get into treatment, and that may be that person's first important step. Somebody else may have sleep apnea and insomnia and be so sleep deprived they can't focus on anything because they're so exhausted all day. Well, then we need to get them to a sleep lab and we need to help them with their sleep apnea. So it really depends upon where you are right now. So we created this lifestyle foundational pyramid with questions. What are you right now? You can see the actual pyramid and questions they're in the book, but the idea of it is this. In your world right now, when you think about sleep, nutrition, stress resiliency, risky substances, social connection, what is the one that seems to be the most important in your life, such that when it is not going well, it trips up everything else? It seems to be the one that you need to foundational. It's sort of like your bottom layer of your pyramid. Again, we started with what's your New Year's resolution, which is personal. I'll get personal again and tell you that for me, pretty much forever, it's sleep. When I have good sleep, things can align quite nicely. Without good sleep, though, it's harder for me. The stress is a little bit higher. So then I will maybe not go to my yoga class. Maybe I won't do the run. Maybe I won't have a healthy meal. So for me, if I can get that sleep in order and prioritize those 7 to 9 hours, 10 to 7, 10 to 6 each night, that is really helpful for me. The next one for me for sure is physical activity. When I do physical activity, the rest it's like boom. Just goes so nicely. The rest just falls into place. And then nutrition. So I have that pretty much down, right? So since I was 18, I've been following Pritikin and and the cardiac and the healthy eating pattern. So I sort of have that one down. So that one I wouldn't put, at the bottom because if it's pretty almost like automatic. I don't have to focus on it as much because I really know that it's in place. Unless of course there's no food in the house and it can go awry, but it's not likely. And then social connection. Fortunately, I have a lovely, loving husband who's extremely supportive. I've known since college. I've got a great brother. I've got fantastic friends, and they're there for me even when I disappear, even when I get into like writing and I'm not as available as maybe I want to be or should be maybe. And then risky substances, I don't engage. I used to maybe have a glass of wine at celebrations or at a dinner. My dad was told in 1986 to have a glass of red wine with
Yeah.
dinner. That was what was going on in 1986, and I also thought that was a healthy thing. I didn't do it every night, but I would do it occasionally. But with the new data, I've actually just wiped that out entirely. So I don't have so risky substances. It's a non-factor for me. So the one I have to really focus on is personally is sleep. But this is different for everyone. This is different for everyone. No one has the same foundational lifestyle pyramid because we're coming with different histories, with different childhoods, with different experiences. So I hope that can be useful to people listening.
Yeah. So again, if I'm one audience and I'm looking at this wheel,
Ah,
I'm getting the idea that this workbook is an excellent resource so I can go to each one of these components, read about it, and evaluate myself and each of these components to see which ones I need to work on. Maybe I need to work on all 12 of them. But I think the workbook is really good. Your website, the other thing is I want to make people aware of, you also have one-on-one kind of stuff and group classes as well. There's a whole list on your website. Great resources. Her website, by the way, is pavingwellness.org. And Natasha will put that in the resource email that you're going to get in a week. The replay will come out, and then it'll have resources, any other resources that you want to put on there, Dr. Frates, as well. But I just want to make sure because people are like, "Wow, that's a lot of stuff. 12 things. I don't know.
oh,
All these things." But that workbook is a way to dig down and dissect each component and apply them to that person.
oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Holly. And yes, it is a nonprofit, and so any profits at all from this book, if we get any, the three of us here, I think these people. Okay. It goes to the nonprofit. I love Amy and Michelle so much. But I also I want to say that with the book, we do ask you to think about things. So for example, we have this graph where you're looking at your life stages, your childhood, high school, young adult, midlife, and older adult, and your fun level for physical activity, and to graph it and to actually think about what were you doing when you were a child and you were loving it, or when you were a young adult and you were loving physical activity. It was fun for you. What were you doing? So we ask you to think outside the box, and clients and patients that you may be working with, we invite them to think in a different way. And we talk about health span. Well, we talk about lifespan, and in lifestyle medicine we talk a lot about health span. We also have to talk about joy span. We want to be joyful. So that's a joyful heart. That's a third component. We want to be healthy. We want to be joyful throughout our life. We want to find joy in our connections, find joy in our work, if it's volunteer work or if it's our job that we're getting paid for. We want to try to find joy, use our strengths. So we do emphasize that in our work and paving the path to wellness. We emphasize joy. We emphasize fun.
Yeah, great. And when I look at the wheel, blue zones come to mind because you talk about purpose. That's one of the characteristics of blue zone people. You talk about social support, you talk about activity, nutrition, sleep, all these things are part of the blue zone. And these are people live into their 90s, not just live into their 90s, but they're active, resilient, vibrant people into their 90s. They have many of those components on the wheel.
Yes, I agree. And I did study the blue zones, and that's how I think purpose really got into my work, one-on-one and then in groups, and then with the Paving the Path to Wellness model. It is Dan Buettner's work, and the blue zones, and then lifestyle medicine. The 6 pillars are in there. Some of you are saying, wait, where's the risky substances? So that comes in with energy management, because we think about chemical, artificial ways to increase energy or to dampen our energy. So the chemical ways, we address the risky substances there, and we try to focus in on natural ways of feeling the dopamine rush, of feeling our endorphins, of feeling oxytocin and connection. So that if you were wondering, if you're there sitting and you've typed in, but wait, where is the risky substances in paving? I hope I answered it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's important to dissect each one of those components to find out what there really is and how it applies to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have about 2 or 3 minutes left.
Oh,
The two, yeah, yeah. We'll do Q&A after that. So, but
okay.
there's two things I want you to quickly address. One, if I'm looking at this, I want to say, I want a lifestyle medicine physician as my personal PCP. How do we find a lifestyle medicine physician? And then close with, your bullet point of the night. What do you want to take home? What do you want an audience to take home?
Okay, terrific. So American College of Lifestyle Medicine is working on this. They have LM Pros, and I can share this with Natasha, and I can get you a website to share
Perfect.
weekly in next week's summary. But they're working on and updating a directory of those physicians around the country, where they're located, if they're board certified, and other healthcare professionals like registered dietitian, exercise physiologist, a physical therapist, social worker, others that may also be board certified, but MDDO also that are board certified. So we have that there. Then your last question was, what is your bullet point? What are the bullet points for the takeaway? I would say that think about lifespan, health span, and joy span. And when you're thinking about well-being, certainly think about all 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine, but try to chunk it into 3 areas for yourself, which is the healthy body, peaceful mind, and joyful heart. And don't forget to have a plan of action, so you can embody and enjoy a healthy body, peaceful mind, and joyful heart.
Excellent. Great summary, Dr. Frates. Thank you.
Um,
Natasha, where are you? There you are. All right. Do you have some? You're muted. You're muted, Natasha.
Can you hear me better when I'm not muted?
Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit better.
Perfect.
Um,
Well, I've been looking at all of these fantastic questions behind the scenes. There are some really thoughtful questions that I think are going to be helpful to our audience. So, but the very first person, which was actually the last question that I looked at, they have a joyful heart. And I really want to this is not a question, Dr. Frates, this is just to let you know that they love the telephone number 11 owl picture behind you. So, you're bringing someone else joy. And so that's a good thing, right? So we start off with that very positive note. So, could you please start off with, can you define what a risky substance is for those who may not be familiar with that term?
Yes. So we generally focus in lifestyle medicine on tobacco, nicotine, alcohol. We have a lot of work and resources around those 2 specific substances. Of course, opiates and prescription medications used inappropriately can also be risky substances. So in general, those are what we have focused on in lifestyle medicine. When we think about a risky substance, we think about something that if you use it, you may have negative consequences when using it, and it may be hard to give it up, and you may fall into the DSM-5 category of substance use disorder with alcohol, substance use disorder with nicotine, substance use disorder with cannabis, substance use disorder with risky substance. So it's something that's risky because it may lead you into an unhealthy path, unhealthy body, unhealthy mind, and an unjoyful heart.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. So, with rising costs of living, many people feel pressured to work possibly another part-time job alongside their full-time job. What would your recommendations be to help people who battle these kinds of lifestyle conditions but want to implement the 6 pillars? Is there a way in which people can do that in a meaningful way?
We do want lifestyle medicine to be accessible to all. I want Paving the Path to Wellness to be accessible to all. So I would have to speak with this particular person. I do have clients that do have 2 jobs. I have clients that are surgeons, cardiothoracic surgeons that work too many hours, clients that are lawyers that work too many hours. But this idea of 2 jobs, again, I don't want to make assumptions. That's not a good idea in general. We all know that. But when I hear, I'm just saying, when I hear 2 jobs, I am hearing that there may be a reason why someone has more than 1 job, and it may be related to finances. So if the question is around finances specifically, then I will share that the American College of Lifestyle Medicine has great resources. For example, eating on a budget, cooking on a budget. So how to make the nutrition pillar, one of the most important pillars that we have, accessible to all, so that we could be consuming a whole food, plant predominant eating pattern and get frozen fruits and vegetables, which I think people used to believe were inferior. Yes, getting our own homegrown food would be ideal, but someone who is working 2 jobs, I'm not going to think is going to have the time to cultivate a garden. And depending where you live, you may not have a whole food market or a community farm available. So then you may only have a local convenience store. And if that's the case, that someone doesn't have the fresh produce available, the frozen is good. And then if it's, again, a matter of fitting in physical activity, well, this person has 2 jobs. So what are we going to do with that? We're going to think about, what are the jobs? Are they primarily sedentary? I don't know. If they are sedentary, I would think about, is there a way to get a stationary exercise bike that is also a workstation if what they're doing is on the computer, but I can't make assumptions. I don't know the jobs yet. But if we're thinking about movement and someone had 2 jobs and one of those jobs was sedentary, I would think about how could they change that so they could either be standing, moving, maybe a walking pad, at least a standing workstation, so they could at least go up and down, move their feet a bit and walk around. And then I would think about a YMCA on the weekends for fun. So I don't know if I'm talking to someone who likes Zumba or someone who would want to swim. So I'm thinking YMCA has a lot of options, and it's generally reasonable, but it may not be the right fit, and maybe walking or hula hooping or videos would be best. Stress reduction for someone that's working 2 jobs. So I would want to talk about deep breathing. I'd want to talk about 4-7-8 breathing. Andrew Weil is the person who taught that to me, not one-on-one on the video. I learned it from him on the video. And then mindfulness-based stress reduction, John Kabat-Zinn taught that to me, not one-on-one, but on the video and in his courses. So I would want to share some information about what's easy that I've learned about box breathing, where we could just do it together. It's free, available. We carry it with us every day. We just have to remember to use our breath to change our physiology from sympathetic nervous system to parasympathetic. Then social connection. If someone's working 2 jobs, how are their social connection? How is their social support? Very important question. Are they lonely? Are they nutrition insecure? Maybe that would be the first question to ask first.
Mhm.
But then, of course, yes, if there's a lot of stress and there's 2 jobs, is there some kind of substance that is helping this person to have the energy to do the second job? That could be anything from caffeine to a number of different things, right? But how are we using that substance or substances? Maybe then to relax. Alcohol is often what people use, or nowadays also, cannabis in various forms. So I would need to talk to this person and truly find out where they are and what could be helpful. But my point of explaining all of that is that we do want it to be lifestyle medicine and paving the path to wellness accessible to all. So find ways to make this fit into someone's schedule, even a busy cardiothoracic surgeon or someone with 2 jobs, someone who is having trouble making ends meet, making opportunities, providing opportunities, creating spaces that are safe for movement, places where they can get the whole food, plant predominant meals that will nourish them. I hope that helps the person who had the question.
Well, and I think that you just spoke to a wide range of things that could be useful to anyone in that situation, regardless of financial security
Right.
or so. Yeah, that was beautiful. I
Okay.
also think that in taking my notes over here, I keep looking over here. I've been taking notes as you've been talking this evening. You talked about one of those 12 pillars as being investigations, and that's really what came through in what your answer was there. It's how do you experiment? How do you work that in if you are working 2 jobs? So what pillars can you focus on and how to make that happen? So thank you. So I'm going to pepper you with several questions. We don't have a lot of time, so we'll try to get in as many as we can. There's some really great ones here, and that is how can we use and promote pillars of lifestyle medicine into the field of public health? Public health aims to prevent disease, promote health. Is there a place for lifestyle medicine in public health or population health? What does that look like? How do you make that happen?
I love this question.
I know it's a tough one.
It's it's a great question. It's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
thoughtful question, as you said, Natasha. These are very thoughtful questions. I have been working with Dr. Walter Willett and Dr. Frank Hugh at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and trying to collaborate. They are using more lifestyle medicine. They actually invited me in to lecture there to their nutrition class. So bringing in the pillars when we're talking about nutrition will be important because you need to supply the nutrition. We also need to help people get the sleep that they need so their ghrelin isn't raised and their leptin isn't low, which happens with sleep deprivation. And we want people to get their sleep so that they won't feel overly hungry and just grab things that are easily available. So helping public health, schools, faculty see the power and the science behind these 6 pillars. Just to pick on nutrition again, because it's a great topic and it's related to every single one of the pillars. Movement, physical activity. We know that physical activity increases irisin, myokine from the muscle, that has been shown to have an impact on appetite. So our exercise does impact food and appetite. So how do we get this out? First, I'd like to get it solidly into schools of public health, so those future leaders in public health are well versed in the science, because there's good science behind this. And then working with leaders in public health and advocacy. So for example, we have a great emphasis on nutrition right now and getting nutrition into medical schools. And I would like to, at the same time, get exercise, sleep, stress resiliency. You know, this is the easiest to see the connection. When we're stressed, a lot of people stress eat. Some people don't eat at all, and that has its own problems. But a lot of people stress eat. So if we're teaching people how to eat, what is healthy to eat, but we're not helping them manage their stress, we are doing a disservice to the person and then to the public if we're not helping the public understand the connection between stress and food and potentially food intake. So getting into the faculty have to understand and appreciate it. The new students need to learn it. And then we got to get those that are doing public policy to understand the science and hopefully craft messages, marketing that can have an impact on the minds and the hearts of the public, so they'll feel motivated to combine forces with community, neighborhood, family, or just themselves, but hopefully in communities, to make healthy choices. I hope that helps answer some of the very excellent, thoughtful, and deep question that the person asked.
Well, you've done really great with those deep questions so far. So I'm just going to keep that roll going because this question folds right into the next one. So this person is curious about what medical settings specifically do you feel like lifestyle medicine is most prominent currently? And where is the greatest opportunity for it to be strengthened? Maybe that is public health because you just addressed it. But so that's the first part of the question. Let's go with that. There's a second part, and then I'll wrap up with another question. So,
Okay.
what medical settings do you feel like lifestyle medicine is most prominent, and where is the greatest opportunity for it to be strengthened?
Yes. So primary care. We see a lot of primary care physicians getting board certified in lifestyle medicine in this country and globally. So internal medicine, family medicine, OBGYN, pediatrics. We also see specialty care like endocrinology, cardiology, more and more interest because cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and then along with obesity medicine, people are interested in lifestyle medicine. So they're getting obesity medicine boarded and lifestyle medicine boarded because what the GLP-1s, the GLP-1s have taught us is can't just take the medicine. You need to eat healthy foods.
Yes.
And you need to move your body. You need to do that strength training. I mean, it's evident. So where is opportunity? I will share with you that surgeons are becoming more and more interested in lifestyle medicine, yes, for themselves, but for their patients pre-op and post-op. Get better results. Their surgeries have less complications, that patients do better over time. And this is a burgeoning area, certainly. Wound healing is also better with healthy nutrition and when patients are moving and more fit. So that is an area. I will quickly tell you, though, if you look at who's board certified in lifestyle medicine, you're going to see dermatologists, you're going to see radiologists, you're going to see radiation oncologists, you're going to see pathologists. It has really hit pretty much every specialty. An area that is currently really rising rapidly is psychiatry. So the APA, American Psychiatric Association, had their annual meetings theme be lifestyle psychiatry. So that is one, hands down, primary care is where you're seeing a lot of board certified lifestyle medicine physicians. You'll see it throughout the specialties, but the one that's currently rising, The highest, the fastest, and at the moment is psychiatry. And you would be surprised, but yes, surgery. And I do think that's an area ripe for more focus on lifestyle medicine. Funny enough, I'm saying this and I'm realizing Dr. Rippey asked me to co-edit a book on surgery and lifestyle medicine. I have been working with the surgeons for 7 years at Mass General Hospital as their director of lifestyle medicine and wellness. And so I have been embedded in that area for 7 years. And so we are going to put that book out. And I do think that is a ripe area for lifestyle medicine. And you may not have been able to see the connection right away, but if you think about it, and if you do investigations and look into PubMed and see pre-op and post-op, what is recommended and best for patients, you're definitely gonna find the 6 pillars. They even are using mindfulness now, the surgeons, mindfulness with their patients.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Thank you for you opened up the world to kind of take a look at, who is embracing lifestyle medicine and kind of where it's going. So thank you. So as far as payment models, so what are the current and primary payment models, insurance versus private pay, when it comes to lifestyle medicine? This is always a big question in people's mind.
Yes, and it's an important one. And actually, the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is working really hard in this area on reimbursement right now, and has been for years. There is a reimbursement roadmap at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine you can download for free as a resource. People are practicing lifestyle medicine. Remember, you're board certified in your specialty, then you're board certified in lifestyle medicine. So currently, people are practicing in rheumatology, for example. I didn't mention that one, but that's another one. Rheumatology or endocrinology, and they're utilizing their lifestyle medicine education to help the patient outcomes and help with behavior change. When you do group visits, shared medical appointments, you can use CPT codes, and one physician can see 12 or up to 15, sometimes more, patients in a room, a physical room or a virtual room. And using the CPT codes, you can make that work for you and your organization or your clinic quite nicely to be lucrative for your practice. And it's very good for the patients. That's what the research shows. The patient outcomes are excellent and patient satisfaction is extremely high. A lot of people in lifestyle medicine are also doing direct primary care, and some are doing concierge medicine. So there's different payment models. We are hoping to go towards value-based care, and CMS is actually putting out a call to lifestyle medicine and other healthcare professionals who want to use what they are saying is functional and lifestyle medicine. Maha Elevate is, for example, one that we had a whole webinar on at the American College of Lifestyle Medicine to try to move closer towards value-based care. Some people are able to work with insurers, physicians, and you can get a model where you could be paid a lump sum for a patient, and then you have to provide the best care and show return on investment and show that your outcomes in terms of hemoglobin A1C are going to be excellent and be cost effective. So there's a lot of different ways that people are practicing lifestyle medicine right now, but ultimately we'd like this to be the way medicine is in general. Everyone is getting a prescription, not just for pills. In fact, those are hopefully being de-prescribed, but the prescription for the pillars. People are focusing on prescription for the intensity, frequency, time, and type of physical activity, of vegetables on the plate, of stress resiliency, of social connection. So we move the model to be far more focused on these 6 pillars than on the pills. But that's going to take some time. And now the reimbursement models that are in play, you can make them work for you with CPT codes. SMAs will be one of your best ways to do that if you're in a traditional model. If you can move towards concierge or direct primary care, or hopefully value-based care will be coming down the pike for most of us with some of what CMS is exploring this year and in 2-3 years from now.
Thank you very much. I know my primary care physician retired last year. She had the audacity to retire. And so I am seeing currently a resident who is training in lifestyle medicine. And that's why I chose her, was because of that lifestyle medicine. So when you say that more and more people are taking that into primary care, I think it's really great to see the younger generation of doctors doing that. And so I think that's very promising. I would like to wrap it up because we're running a little late here. But the last question I think is definitely worth asking. So this person is interested in lifestyle medicine as a career, but they're not currently a physician or a healthcare professional. Are there any jobs or careers within lifestyle medicine that you're aware of now that don't require a medical degree, but like a certification or a little less schooling than for a medical professional? I know that's not really your area, but maybe you've come into contact with others who are practicing lifestyle medicine. Any suggestions? And if not, that's okay too.
I want to help. So one idea could be health and wellness coaching. There's a national board of health and wellness coaches.
Mhm.
You could get board certified in that and work in a lifestyle medicine practice.
Mhm.
If you have a master's degree and you're already a healthcare professional, it sounds like this person is not. But if you are, with that master's degree, you could get board certified through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine if you have a master's degree in healthcare. But it does sound like this particular question, that's
Yeah.
not relevant. So I would think that health and wellness coaching, and I'm just trying to think.
That
No.
sounds like it might be the
Oh,
best.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, because if I mean, other ideas, I'll just throw some out. Would be getting into one of the 6 pillars, like say a fitness professional that could work with a lifestyle medicine practice and focus in on the fitness.
Mhm.
Perhaps a nutrition specialist. An RD would, I think the person said not extra education. So of course the RD would be, and now they're requiring masters, so that would not be right. So a social worker that also though would likely require some more education, but not as much as an MD degree. So that's maybe another option, because the team with lifestyle medicine, it is a team-based specialty. There's the nurse, there's the medical assistant, there's administrative roles that need to be filled. So you could think about also perhaps that part of the practice, but then there's the MD or DO with a registered dietitian, the physical therapist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, social worker. So many other healthcare professionals are also part of the team, but the non-healthcare professionals, maybe again, medical assistant, administrator, it's an option to get into the practice.
Well, and I'm almost wondering too, just looking at your 12 pillars, when you're talking about sleep, you're talking about meditation, you're also talking about stress reduction. So there may be those who specialize in that aspect of things and may have come from a non-traditional, not medical background.
Yes, a very good point, Natasha. I didn't mention that. That's fantastic. That's a very good point. Yes, I agree.
I wouldn't have thought of that without all of your prior
You're kind.
thoughts there.
You're
So,
kind.
so this is wonderful. Thank you so much. These were really, really in-depth questions this evening. And I wanted to ask them because many people will be watching this replay. And I think that the richness and the depth of these questions will certainly be beneficial to our audience. So thank you very much for your time, Dr. Frates.
Oh, thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Dr. Holly. And thank you, everyone who's listening and people who are listening asynchronously. Thanks for paying attention and helping out so that we can all do this work together.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Frates. This has been very enlightening, very useful, very practical, and I appreciate your time and your expertise and sharing with our audience tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. I hope everyone has a great evening.
Yeah. So on behalf of the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies, this has been Spotlight on Health with Dr. Beth Frates tonight. Stay tuned. Watch your emails. Our next Spotlight on Health is going to be March 4th, right, Natasha? Yeah. So watch your emails for information on that. So everyone, have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.